Okay, I believe we are now live. Let's just double check. Looking groovy there. Awesome. Okay. Neat. Hello, everybody. We'll wait a second before we do any weed. Wait for people to show up. No warning ahead of time. Excuse me a moment. Cool beans. Okay. Well, Gonzo Baptist, welcome, man. First one arrived. How are you doing today? As you said, on a beautiful California Tuesday. That it is. I was out playing some racquetball not long ago. And while it's warming up a little bit, it is still quite nice. Quite nice out there. And so, Gonzo Baptist, thanks for joining us. We'll get this first bag going for you this day. Hey, Gonzo Baptist, please remind me where you're at now. Did you move out of Long Beach? You were in Long Beach for a while. And did you move, or am I totally mistaken about any of that, or all of that? Okay, first bag. Here we go. Awesome. All right. Well, Godzo, glad to know you are still still out in Long Beach. While I was not born here, I do feel like it is certainly now home. Gonzo Baptist says he's delivered weed while he's getting through college. Cool. I'm curious, Gonzo Baptist, and you don't have to say too much. Are you is your employer, are they 100% on the up and up, or do they exist in more of the gray market side? Uh, the gray market, I know, thrives everywhere in California on the delivery side still, and I assume a healthy percentage of weed sales through delivery are not 100% legal. But I'm curious about your employment. You probably, I would assume, get paid better if it is not 100% legal. There are certainly a lot of people wanting to pay or hire people to deliver weed right now. The in-demand product. Are you at CSULB, by the way, Gonzo Baptist? That is California State University of Long Beach. The Dirtbags. All right, that's one and done. Excuse me. All right. We got a bag in. And Gonzo Baptist says, yep, and yep, I assume every company operates to some degree in that gray area. Yes, that is a safe assumption to make. Even legal dispensaries, I assume, do things that aren't 100% by the book, especially if they want to survive. It's apparently pretty tough out there for people who want to do it the legit way. with the incredible amount of bureaucratic payola you basically have to just throw off before even getting started. It's a lot of money up front, and then a lot of competition in your area, almost certainly. Not from just legal sources, but from illegal ones too. And I assume it's going to stay that way for quite some time. As long as weed is still illegal federally, and there will be weed sold illegally to other states that aren't yet legal with their weed status, the gray market will thrive in California, because there will always be people selling weed illegally to other states. So there will always be cheaper weed that has never entered into the system being produced, and the incentive and desire to sell it to customers that are right there, it's got to be too high. So I assume it's endemic. Isaac Gonzalez says, "Yo, bro, I farted." Well, thanks so much, Isaac. I appreciate that information. Anybody should share at any time when they break wind, cut the cheese, whatever your sort of favorite analogy is for ripping one. I'm a pro farter, love farting. I think it's the funniest things humans can do. It's the highest form of comedy there is. Not being facetious, not joking at all. Farts are and always will be truly the funniest things that humanity will ever be able to produce. Even babies know it. And Isaac Gonzalez, I mean, he knows to play to the hits. Blasted another one. Good for you, man. You are just an unstoppable juggernaut at this point, and keep them coming, bro, and let us know every time, one escapes. Although it sounds like they're not escaping, you're letting them go, which is encouraged too. Gonzo Baptist says, it's not impossible to operate 100% legally. However, some owners just consider it missed opportunity. Yes, that would be true. I think a lot of people in the weed game see the amount of money that the black market is making and think of that all as missed opportunity, missed revenue, market share that should belong to them. So I can see why they would be like, again, very encouraged to dip into the non-legal markets. The Planet's guy, the Planters guy. Oh, says, what we smoking on? I'm sorry, the Planters guy. Welcome. I thought you were dead, to be honest. Didn't you die? Wasn't that a whole thing? And then you came back as a baby? Was that real? Did I make that up? No, that happened. The Planters peanut guy died. You resurrected as a baby. I don't watch advertisements of any kind, and even I knew that somehow. So I'm glad you're back from the dead. How was the afterlife? Is it different for a legume than it is for a normal human? I assume for a normal human, it's mostly just being decomposed by a lot of invertebrates and fungi. But I also assume maybe a legume, the afterlife's pretty similar. So tell us about death, Mr. Peanut, and also resurrection. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us. And this is wedding cake that we are enjoying. And you know what? Let's get a bag going for Isaac and the Planters guy. Both of you guys deserve it. Thanks for watching. All right, here we go. Bag numero dos. Almost fucked up my Spanish. The easiest Spanish there is. Louis Facile. Shit. Don't even try. I'd love to be able to speak Spanish. You try a little bit, but it's bad. All right, man. Here's that wedding cake that you were asking about, Mr. Peanut, Planners guy. Um, well, thanks, Isaac. I love you too, man. I think everybody loves you back, even with your gastronomical distress. Uh, and here, some places on in the world you're not going to find a welcoming home as a man who just, you know, farts and then announce it to the world. But here, not only are you going to find, not people running you out, but welcoming arms and just understanding. I think is what I'm trying to get across. We appreciate it. When I was in fourth grade, remember it clearly, clear as day. Because how could you not remember this? It's a traumatic moment in everybody's life. If it does happen, I got a fart blamed on me. That wasn't mine. Didn't happen to me. I knew exactly who it was. The fart happened in the middle of like a math test, fourth grade, just loud as like a crackerjack in the middle of class, just boom, blast. I guess my head was the first to pop up to look at the girl who farted, because I was like, just like summoned into life, pulled out of my multiplication tables, and just stared at the farter, caught deer in the headlights look like, oh shit, I'm caught, I'm out. And so what's her strategy? It's brilliant. I gotta admit, it was brilliant. Like, it worked flawlessly. She just goes, it was him. And I just kind of, I froze, like, what is happening here? What is this betrayal? This can't be. What is this injustice? And that's all it took for the narrative to change and for that fart to have been mine. And, for the next week or so, is anytime anybody accidentally shits their pants in class, and not shits their pants, just farts, that's who they are. Thankfully, though, this person was nice enough to come back and admit to me in high school, like late high school, that she had done it and that she did apologize. Damage was already done. Shh, no, go lie down, buddy. Go. So that is my fart story and getting a fart blamed on me. Although it was a wonderful moment because at that moment I'm just like, I'm gonna own it from this point forward. Don't be ashamed. Why would you ever be ashamed? Farts are hysterical. Love them, own them. It's the best. Jesus, I'm so sorry. Let's get this through this bag number 2 here. Oh, the Planners guy says that he's back for vengeance. He's returned from the dead to seek vengeance. And the Planners guy, I am curious, who or what are you seeking vengeance from? I don't remember the marketing campaign that well. So, and I haven't bought any planters. I'm not a Peanuts fan. So it didn't work that well. Worked well enough to make me know that you died and you turned into a baby. But were you murdered? Did somebody kill you? Because if so, that's way more fucked up than I thought. I thought, you just lived your whole natural peanut lifespan of a peanut, whatever that is, a season, and then came back. But you are suggesting that there is vengeance. You are out. Who wronged you? What did they do? Do you still have a monocle? And I'm sorry I didn't see your axe. Your image is like a teeny tiny little JPEG. That's like 8 pixels across on my screen. Nine Dar, welcome back, man. Good to see you again, Nine Dar. How are you? Gonzo says, what brand is your wedding cake from? It is from Runway. Pretty affordable. It was like $120, I think, for an ounce. Not bad stuff. Certainly not the best I've ever had, but for the 31% THC it advertises, not sure it actually has that, I'm enjoying it. Okay, that's bag number 2 done. I did remember to bring my concentrate this time. So, Nine Dar, we'll do a dab up next for you, my friend. Just gotta wait for my mini now to heat up. Shouldn't take very long. And we'll get right to it. Oh, Nine Dar says he's feeling pretty high right now. How about myself? I'm good, man. Had a pretty cool morning out here in Long Beach. Played some racquetball, went to the dog park. Nice day altogether. And looking forward to getting much higher. Gonzo Baptist says he splurged and got some Mike Tyson's Desert Toad and Tiger Mints. Wow. I've not heard of either of those strains before. And I'm Googling them right now because they do sound delightful. Okay, named in honor of the fact that Mike Tyson himself has told people that he licked a toad, did some psychedelics. Wow, that sounds pretty great. And we've talked about Mike Tyson before and how it's weird old Mike Tyson is, how family friendly his brand is now. It's kind of boggles the mind. Dude, not a good dude, Mike Tyson. Not a good dude at all. Let's see. Oh, we are about ready for that dab as promised. And this is the same gelato I had last week. Nice, healthy one here to start. Cotton fiber. Alrighty. Thanks for watching, Nine Dar. Excuse me. A little bit bigger than I thought. Neat. Well, now, Idar, I am getting much higher, much more quickly. Catching up, in fact. Lie down, bud. King Yeti, welcome back. Just missed the dab. Glad to have you back. Coughing through it at the moment. We'll get there. Go chill. Okay. Holy hell. Not done yet. Give me a second. We'll work through it. Sweating a little bit. That's how you know it was good. Yes, Gonzo Baptist, if you're gonna drop a lung, it's best to do it before lunch. Because that way you still have the whole day ahead of you. If you cough one of your if you pop along, 2, 3 in the afternoon, you're probably gonna miss dinner. You might be in the hospital like 7, 8 at night. You're gonna miss your stories on TV. Yeah, you want to get all your lungs popped in the AM hours still. Your whole day ahead of you after surgery, and I don't actually know anything that is involved in the process of reinflating a lung. I don't even know if that's the right verb. I do know that lungs can burst, experience so much trauma that they no longer can take in air. But I assume it's a I'm in the hospital for quite some time. Okay. But I'm done now. No more coughing. We've worked through it all. We've worked into sweating. I've blown my nose several times here. Apologies for that. But it was all in service of being in this moment where it's all done and we can move on to greater pastures, greener pastures. I'm not going to cough again. Shit. Cool. For real this time. Done. All right. Where are my talking points that I never actually bring up, but I do sometimes write down? Who knows? One second. Fine. I am really sorry about that. I've by the way, guys, I've uploaded some stuff to Instagram recently that hasn't gone to YouTube because it's short, and I put myself on Instagram. Although I might be done with it because almost anything I try to upload there gets automatically rejected for some reason. But there are some videos of some bumpers that will be used in the future. Me doing some stupid shit with big underpants out in dumb places. So if you haven't checked those out, you may or may not want to. Boy, that dab. I think that's the biggest dab we've done on a stream yet, and my God, it's got me all verklempt. Excuse me. I have to start coughing again. Ah, I know. I'm talking about some more about some books. We haven't talked a lot about. Oh, that's not true. We talked about books yesterday. We're going to talk about a cool book that I read at the late last year, beginning of this year, called Fuzz by Mary Roach. Mary Roach is a cool, very cool science writer. Been writing stuff for a long, long time. All of her books have these like one-word titles. Gulp. What's another great one? There's one about bodies. It might just be called Bodies. I don't know. But this one is about Fuzz. Fuzz, when nature breaks the law. And it talks about how the boundaries of human and animal interaction in our modern world. And there are some incredible, incredible stories in there. And the one I love to tell the most from Fuzz, and just is a really just both a brilliantly written chapter. She's so funny, this writer Mary Roach, and also some just really macabre, strange, you can't stranger than fiction type things. And there's a chapter in there about the Vatican and keeping the Vatican clear of, well, all kinds of animal outsiders, pigeons, rats, and most perniciously, strangely enough, seagulls. Seagulls love the Vatican, a tiny little country within Rome. Pope likes to chill. The seagulls love to shit. I never realized, maybe there's some kind of connection there, but she doesn't draw that. And so the Pope, the Vatican has been waging this war for forever on how to prevent seagulls from shitting all over their beautiful churches and chapels and other opulent structures that the Vatican has spent way too much of people's money on over the millennia. And they deploy all kinds of novel strategies. But seagulls, especially if you live anywhere near a beach, you know how tenacious they are, how fearless they are, and how they're kind of like raccoons with wings in that they'll rifle through anything. They'll break any defense after any amount of, if you give them enough time, they'll figure their way through anything, and they are endlessly creative about the ways that they wreak havoc on society. So, the Vatican had tried a bunch of different approaches, including lasers, where they would put giant spinning poles of lasers on top of buildings and hoping that the lasers would hit the seagulls' eyes on occasion, which would freak them out and cause them to fly away. Not work for a while, but eventually the seagulls stopped giving a shit about lasers. The thing that they found that was the absolute most effective in preventing seagulls from staying anywhere. Again, every other strategy that didn't just outright kill them, massacre them, because I guess the Vatican was worried about the number of seagull carcasses littering their beautiful, pristine roads and streets for all the tourists to see. So they just wanted them gone, but not horrifically maimed and killed. And the strategy that worked best was hanging one in effigy. They figured out that seagulls really, really, really do not like seeing other seagulls hung to death. Nobody quite understands why or how they would interpret that as a warning, but it does seem to work. Like literally, you find they're like flight vectors that they go through, and you put up like a fucking seagull gallows, and you just hang a seagull, and they're like, "Fuck no," for a long time. But also that hanging seagulls in effigy also scares away the tourists, so they stopped doing that. But it was fucked up to know that for a while there were dead seagulls strung up all around the Vatican, saying, "Keep out, buddy, or this might be you." Craziness. That's a story about Fuzz, the book Fuzz. If you like science writing, you should check that one out. I think we're moved through our copies, so let's get another bag here. There we go. That did take a turn. But the book is great like that. It's filled with all kinds of wonderful half in between macabre and hilarious type stories. And couldn't recommend the book more highly. Anybody who likes science writing. Ooh. I'll tell you the story real quick I generally don't give up on books, which is bad. Like if I start something, I'll commit to making it to the end, which, I don't necessarily think is a good thing, but generally that is true. Occasionally, though, there are things that do utterly stop me in my tracks. And sometimes I even really like those things, but there are certain obstacles that just are unavoidable. And the one that I find most shameful recently is the Neal Stephenson book, Anathem, which I have tried and tried and tried to do. It is like the amount of just world building that has to completely before the first, I don't know, several hundred pages of that book they're not wheel spinning, but they are simply bricklaying, and it is some of the most elaborate and ornate bricklaying I have ever had to come across. Neil Stephenson, by the way, the guy who wrote most famously Snow Crash, the novel about virtual reality, the novel that gave us the term the metaverse, which is still bizarre that is the term that we are going with, because it is not portrayed as like a desirable or a particularly good thing we should be aspiring to as people. But that's neither here nor there. Anthem, though, man, it's a fascinating premise for a book. It's like it is a parallel Earth, not like a truly alternate dimension, I think, where instead of having a Catholic church that is all about Jesus and God and all that wonderful stuff, it's all about just math and physics. And this church takes all of its monks and priests and puts them in their big giant chapel-like structures. These basically, they take all of the smart people in society and cloister them away from everybody else totally and completely in these more or less hermetically sealed worlds. And they let the outside basically interact with the inside only once every year, except if you're a different kind of mathematician, there are like these walls within walls where there are people that are only come out every 10 years, and there are also ones that only come out every 100 years. So if you're in that math thing, you might go in there and never see anybody again. You just go work on your formulas and your maths and your star charts and all that stuff in your totally cloistered off world from the outside. And you don't get to see anybody except every multiple of 10 of a year. And so the book is ultimately about the discovery of Earth, but you have to do several hundred pages of history and their entire lineage of how they discover math and the downfalls of their church and the rebuilding of their church. And basically just imagine like this novel has the entire history of Game of Thrones before the plot actually gets started. Gave up. Sorry, Neil Stephenson. And like all good assholes, I've failed many times to read Infinite Jest, but that's that's more or less a punchline in and of itself. Let's not talk about it. David Foster Wallace. Let's finish this bag. Ed C, who's here at chat. Gonzo Baptist, yes. In response to the pigeons, that's not a bad way to have described it, I think. No pictures, as far as I know, that anybody has of these, but it probably didn't look too far off. And again, it's the only thing that would keep the seagulls from going and shitting on top of the Sistine Chapel. Jessica Babadia, I hope I got that right, says, can you be addicted to weed? Jessica, thank you for the question. Thanks for joining and hanging out with us. We, a super quick answer to the question. Yes, you absolutely 100% could be addicted to weed. It is absolutely positively possible to get psychologically addicted to it, just like many, many substances. Weed is largely a more harmless substance than many, many, many other intoxicants or mood-altering substances, if that's what you prefer. I don't think weed is entirely harmless, and I don't think you should do it if you are a young person, a very young person. But I think that weed is also a very helpful substance for many, many, many people, and that most people on balance can do a very good job of balancing their consumption with, uh, without using it as a crutch of any kind. And last point, and the biggest point, weed is not a physically addictive substance in the way that a lot of other drugs are, especially illicit drugs. It's not cocaine, it's not heroin. And that is a huge positive in my book, especially if people use it in place of those substances, because I don't think there's an argument that can really be made that weed is worse than basically any other illicit substance. I mean, it's the most harmless. It's certainly less harmless even than legal, totally legal substances like, of course, alcohol. All right. Thank you for the question. Appreciate it. Brandon says, hey, Wheats, are you doing any reviews anytime soon? We should have a new one out Thursday. And then, of course, two new ones next week, Monday and Thursday as well. And should have some out after that even. But I have to get those edited and put out. So, but there will be more for at least a couple more weeks to come for sure. Thank you for the question. Excuse me. Sebastian, welcome, Sebastian. Welcome back, I think. Sebastian says, yep, alcohol kills, the plant doesn't. Succinct, to the point, and very true. Incredibly true. It's not just weed positive propaganda. Like, the shitty thing is like, and it's not anybody's fault. It's just unfortunate that nobody listened for as long as they did. That all of the things, the arguments in weed's defense have become almost, people become immune to them, like they don't hear them, because proponents of legalization have been saying them for literal decades, and they just became background noise. But it is just so 100% true, and so the hypocrisy is so completely profound in the comparison between weed and alcohol as dangerous substances and the way we treat them as a society. Rapidly changing, but federally, one is 100% legal, the other one is 100% illegal, and there is absolutely no reason for that to be the case. I honestly, if you want to make the case that weed is harmful, potentially addictive, doesn't provide enough social benefit to outweigh the negatives that it causes, I don't buy that argument. I never will. Don't buy it, never will. I think it's a bullshit argument. But if you do have that argument, then you better goddamn have the same, if you don't say the exact same thing about alcohol, if you're not 100% for alcohol prohibition, you're a fucking hypocrite moron. You're a dumbass fucking idiot loser. You are a in bad faith argument, stupid ass son of a bitch who doesn't understand logic, reasoning, and should be ashamed of themselves. Again, it's totally fine. Wow, my dog's like, this guy's getting worked up. But yeah, if you believe that it's okay. If you want weed to be illegal, it is fine. I don't agree with you. I think it's not the right thing, but I think that's a valid position, at least, as long as you also want to prohibit the sale of alcohol. if you are for, there is no moral, logical, or reasonable stance that can say you are for the sale of alcohol but not the sale of pot. There is none. It is bad faith, 100% bad faith. Sorry, I'm not saying that. Of course, Sebastian, you were saying that, but it gets me so heated that your comment was great, but I just find that argument so dumb and vapid, and get over yourself. Okay, Gonzo Baptist says, I think people wouldn't put weed on such a high pedestal if it was just cheaper. Interesting theory. I'd have to think about that. So you're suggesting, if I'm getting that right, that part of weed's reputation comes from the fact that it's too expensive. Which I guess in comparison to alcohol, probably true. But in comparison to any other intoxicant or drug, well, not so much. Used to be the case. I think, unfortunately, you can find methamphetamines very cheaply these days. And I don't know how much. I assume opiates, fentanyls, not too expensive either, unfortunately. It's such a luxury. Yes, I guess for sure in comparison to weed, it is. You could go to a liquor store, I assume still. It's been a while since I've been to one, and buy like a big ass jug of vodka for, $10 or something, and that will get you inebriated for hopefully a very long time. Whereas weed, $10 is kind of like the buy-in almost. Not really if you buy in bulk, but if you're poor, you're not buying in bulk. It's one of the many poverty traps that are out there. Many people, want to harangue people experiencing poverty for not, why don't you just go to Costco and buy in bulk? Well, do you not realize how expensive it is to actually buy in bulk? And when you're working minimum wage, it's really hard to go to Costco and buy $400 worth of stuff at a time. It's much easier and probably only truly practical to buy things in small quantities as you have the money. But as you do that, though, that means that you are being charged this quasi-tax because you can't afford the trip to Costco. Poverty tax. It happens with weed, too. If you happen to have a lot of money, you can actually buy a lot of weed, a hell of a lot of weed, have a lot for a long time. But if you're, say, young and you don't have a lot of money, or if you just don't pour in general, then you're forced to buy in smaller quantities. And in weed, just like at Costco, you get screwed. Gonzo Baptist clarifies quality weed, like the Mike Tyson stuff he just bought. He says he doesn't think it'd mean as much to him if he wasn't paying that premium. Oh, by the way, Danny, 310, welcome. Glad to have you back. I'm not sure what FRFR is. I think that's an internet thing. You know what? Gonzo Baptist, I love your comment so much. It's such a fascinating topic. The idea of prices being relative or pegged to our enjoyment of something. I love this as a topic. I'm going to get ourselves a nice small dab going for Jessica, Brandon, and Sebastian, and Danny, of course. And we'll talk about the humans, the weird truth that the more something costs, the more that you will enjoy it. Well, it's not that much smaller than our last one, but we'll power through. We've got the brisk ready. No need to cough. Okay. Um, Gonzo Baptist comment is so fascinating, so true. The concept of paying more for something to simply give yourself the experience of, or the ability to enjoy it. What does that mean? Well, it's like you most often see it, of course, in fine wine. Well, really, in anything that has the fine description before it, fine wine, fine art, fine dining, all of those things where price is at a premium already. Fine cannabis. Your brain has the neat and uncomfortable ability, and it thanks to many clever double-blind studies where they will control for all kinds of things, to try to narrow down for this exact effect. It is a near truism that the more you pay for something, the more you will enjoy it, regardless of the quality of that thing. And by pay more for it, I mean relative to other things in its category. So, like, if you pay $60 for a bottle of wine and you normally only pay $15 for a bottle of wine, you are going to love that bottle of wine way more. It's just going to taste better to you. Regardless if it's the same wine that you had bought at $15 before and didn't realize, like your brain had wiped it away, that you had that same wine, and you just got it and it was labeled differently. You thought it was a whole new thing, and if you paid $60 for it, you would enjoy it. There is this weird perverse thing in our brains where it has this, we've been so warped by prices and markets that enjoyment, pleasure, is literally pegged in some ways to value. And of course, companies, marketers, advertisers know this, manipulate it all the time. And I've always wondered how far you could push this. Like, I've always wanted to set up like this natural experiment and even be naked about what you're doing. Like, straight up, be honest with what the intent is, but I've always wanted to start a clothing company. Okay, this is my experiment for the pleasure of, you know, you don't really change anything other than the perceived value of something through some arbitrary means. I want to start a clothing company, like a good old fashioned clothing company that just has a tiny little crest, like a polo or a what's the gator one? We all know them, the super famous brands. You wear them on your shirt. They have their little icon, and that icon displays everybody, that you paid more for that shirt, and you literally in your own mind actually like the shirt better because that icon is on it, and for no other reason. So my idea for a company is that you would have not just one icon, but you would have, let's go three. And we'll use dinosaurs. I think dinosaurs is what I want to do. And basically you make each dinosaur shirt, each dinosaur just costs more than the other. There's nothing changed in the material of the shirt. There is no quality difference. There's no higher thread count. There's nothing. The only difference is that emblem. There's like a Stegosaurus. That t-shirt is $40. There's a Brontosaurus. That t-shirt is $60. And then there is a T-Rex, and that shirt is $120. And that's it. There's no difference. No distinction in any other way other than the emblem that is on it. And I would also then institute a policy of to prevent the rapid inflation of everybody just buying the cheapest one to have it, and to prevent the market from being flooded with the cheapest one, and to keep it all scarce, and to maximize the just rote consumer materialist garbage nature of the whole product. I would institute a destruction policy that you can, at any vendor that sells the shirts, you can trade up 10 of the previous level shirt for one of the next category up. And the other shirts will just be shredded and turned back into, other shirts. But if you can collect 10 of any of them, you can get it traded up. And you make the higher tier ones very, hard to come by, blah, 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 blah. And so that way you keep kids wanting to collect even the lowest tier ones. That's the thing, is because everybody's going to want to get the next tier up as quickly as they can, just because that's the way this kind of stuff works. And if you make a way for people to actually achieve getting those ones without actually having to pay those costs, you still get that just rampant marketing effect. And you pull the old stuff out, which keeps it exclusive and keeps kids wanting it, but not being able to get it because it's hard to come by. And you just destroy it, and you recycle it, and you give them a new one of the one that's, cost, even though the price isn't nearly 10x, I think people would still willingly throw 10 of the other ones away in an attempt to get traded up. I think you'd have to mess with the costs of the 3 different tiers of the t-shirts and the number of shirts that you would have to trade to get to the tier up to, hone in on exactly what is the most manipulative and psychologically torturous for the human mind to couldn't resist. But I think this could be a really terrible experiment for somebody to run. Give it a cool name, clothing company. Boom, there you go. 3 dinosaurs, Carl. 3 dinosaurs. But even that is malleable. If research would say that 4 tiers would produce the biggest frenzy of consumption, that's of course what we would go with. 3 seems like the best to go with, but again, research may be needed to hone in on, maximal predatory behavior. which would be great because they're dinosaurs. Although I think I named 2 herbivore dinosaurs. Rhode Island Hiker, welcome, man. We were just talking about creating our very own clothing company here at Wheats. Think you're gonna love it. It's gonna be the hottest stuff on the market. Look for it never. Well, let's get this next bag going for both Carl and Rhode Island Hiker. Rudy Perez says, "You transcend me. I'm forever grateful." Well, Rudy, that is a compliment I don't even know how to take. That is so kind. That's very generous of you to say, and I'm very grateful for you that you've spent your morning or afternoon hanging out with us. Carl says, "What strain are you smoking?" This is some wedding cake. I bought an ounce a little while ago, probably about halfway through it. Still enjoying it. Not the best I've ever had, but far from the worst. Excuse me. Rhode Island Hiker says, "Prey was a really good movie. Did you like it?" Yes, I did, Rhode Island Hiker. I'm so thankful that I did. I was worried. I found it strangely slow to start. Like, I was like, oh man, this is taking a while to pick up. Also, I found the CGI very dodgy, like many mid-budget movies recently. I don't know if it's just me or Hollywood is just slashing their effects budgets on things, but CGI quality on non-top tier projects seems to be getting worse. And I'm not talking about animated movies, fully animated, which still seem to be great. But CGI used in, otherwise live action movies, I find it sometimes distractingly bad. And did at the beginning of Predator. Like, there's a snake at the very beginning that looked like from 2008, just bizarre. However, all of that started to shrink away at about the halfway mark when the movie hits the gas pedal and hits it very, very, very fucking hard. And the last half of the movie is as good as everyone wants it to be, and really is the best Predator since Predator. I loved it. I really, really liked it, I would say. It is some of the most creative dismembering in any of the Predators. And the concept is so great. I know I'm not the one who came up with this idea, but I've seen it, said many times. If they just want to do a Predator versus X kind of historical badass, fine by me. I mean, this one proves, if you get the right creative team together, you can make a really fun, popcorn movie. And I think Predator versus ninjas, Predators versus Zulu would be pretty great. Then again, Predators versus Aliens sucks ass. So who knows? At least when it comes to movies, I understand there's a different relationship when it comes to other forms of media and aliens and predators fighting. Thank you for asking that question, by the way, Rhode Island Hiker. I forgot to mention it. BVD, welcome back. Good to see you. How are you doing today? Rhode Island hiker asked, what did the ounce of wedding cake cost on the West Coast? It is like 31% THC and it was $120. And I would put it at okay quality. Okay for out here. And that is not nearly the cheapest price one could pay for an ounce of weed. One could pay, if you know where to look and are willing to hunt, I would say you could pay, easily a third less than that for better stuff. But I have a dispensary very close by and more than good enough. Flamin' Hot, welcome Flamin' Hot, says, Prey was awesome, even better in the Comanche dubbed version. I have heard that it was supposed to be excellent in the dubbed version. I did not watch it that way. If I ever watch it again, I may give it a shot that way. I think it takes a while for you to realize that the movie moves at a different pace and the characters sort of speak and at a different cadence and a different kind of I try to choose my words very carefully. There's a lot of actual hand talk in the movie too, and so characters are way more direct than you would expect in a lot of Western movies. And so it takes a second for you to get used to that, but then it actually becomes very cool because it's something that at least feels at least a little bit more authentic. But they are, it's different enough that it takes a second to adjust, or at least it did for me. BBD says, I never even knew Prey was out, and yeah, I want to know how much the zip was also. Oh, I think did you mean the ounce? I'm not sure. The reference totally went over my head. My bad. But if so, 120. Rhode Island Hiker says, the girl was the same girl from the X-Men show Legion. Oh, I did not realize that she was in Legion. I watched the first 3 episodes of Legion and really liked it a lot and stopped watching it. I was watching it as I think the 3rd season was coming out, and heard that something just goes batshit in the worst way, and it was enough to make me go, maybe I'll take a step back. Man, the guy who did Legion, Noah Hawley, I think his name is, what a up and down and for a while now kind of disappointing career. Those first 3 seasons, and I include the 3rd one, I think it's just as good. Those first 3 seasons of Fargo TV are excellent. I mean, top tier, should be mentioned in the same sentences as your Breaking Bad, your Sopranos, your The Wire. Those first seasons of Fargo are that good. I mean, it's a show that's took one of the best movies ever made and probably the Coen brothers' greatest movie, I think. Don't hold me 100% to it, but I still think I would say Fargo. And actually made something 100% worthy, occasionally exceeding the source material. Not that it's has anything really to do with it, but certainly has the themes and vibes of Fargo. God damn. But after that, man, he's had a bad movie. The astronaut diaper movie, I think, was him, and Fargo seasons past 3 apparently, which I have not watched. But if you have not seen Fargo, the original seasons 1, 2, and 3, they are so goddamn good. Oh my god, Chef's Kiss, amazing. Love him, love him, love him. Carl asks, is Sharknado considered bad CGI? I've never actually seen any of the Sharknadoes, but I would say that yes. No. Sharknado would not be an example of bad CGI because I don't think it can be bad in something like Sharknado because the point is kind of to be bad. Like, it's yeah, I don't think Sharknado could ever have bad CGI because the worse the CGI is, the better the experience is in some way for the viewer. Bad CGI to me is CGI that is trying to elicit a not humorous reaction from you, unless of course it's something actually comical. But the reaction should be tethered to the whatever else is going on in the scene and not the dumbness of the image itself, if that makes any sense. So Sharknado would, I would say, not be bad CGI because it can't, because bad CGI would only make it the experience better because you're there because you want to laugh at how bad it is. Bad CGI is the rattlesnake at the beginning of Prey because you really want to imagine the predator just carving up a rattlesnake out of nowhere, and you want it to look like a rattlesnake actually got split in two and not like something out of Jumanji. And I don't mean the modern Jumanji, because then you're taken out of the experience in a bad way. But that's just me. Everybody is allowed to have their own definition of bad CGI, as long as it doesn't involve anything that Peter Jackson was involved in the first half of the 21st, or the decade of the 2000s. Because while Andy Serkis and Gollum, the CGI might have aged a little bit, still unbelievable, and King Kong even better. It can age, but that CGI ages gracefully. Okay, boy, I have got caught. I need to get finished with this bag and do a final dab and get caught up on that here. Dr. SJ, welcome, Dr. Smegma Jones. Dr. SJ says, do you like the song Rip It by Lou Sass? And cheers from the clan, Dr. SJ, Pumpkin, Lexi, and Piper, the 3 dogs. The pug mix, the poodle mix, and I forgot the other breed. And I'm sorry. But thanks, man. And let me see if I know the song Rip It by Lou Sass. I love the song Rip It by Lou Sass. We actually, you missed it, Dr. Smegma Jones. We had a wonderful commenter earlier, Isaac, who was playing to us live. Well, I mean, we weren't listening to it, but I'd like to say we were all singing along with Lou Sass. And boy, how the hell have I never heard that one before? It is absolutely delightful. Bart Simpson caliber. Yamo Sislak me. And Dr. SJ, god damn it, man, are you just... you always come in... Again, ray of sunshine, Lou Sass and us Delivering Children. Thanks for being here, the whole clan. Dak 420 says, "What's popping, my man? We chilling with the West Coast Cure today." Zach 420, thanks for hanging out with us. And probably won't be out for some time, but I just wrapped up not too long ago a review for West Coast Cure. No spoilers though, but look for it at some point. BVD says that they watched Fargo forever ago, the movie and the TV show. What'd you think, BVD? Are you a fan of either? Which one did you like more? And are you also what's everybody's favorite Coen Brothers movie? Now that is a rich conversation topic starter. Everybody's got a favorite Coen Brothers movie, and it's one that everybody can be right about, I think. There are only a few objectively wrong answers to the question, what is your favorite Coen Brothers movie? And I think the wrong answers are more interesting than the right answers. I'll be right back. So while I'm doing this dab, my voice is starting to go. Let's all come up with our favorite and least favorite Coen Brothers movie. And it's okay to go with the obvious one for least favorite. I know I am. All right, here we go. Last dab to share with everybody. Dr. SJ, Carl, BVD, Zach 420, Rhode Island Hiker. Thanks for hanging out with us. Here we go. Okay. Here we go. Speed round. Rhode Island Hiker asks real quick, can you see Fargo the show without seeing the movie, or worth it to watch both? It is 100 million% worth it to watch both. They absolutely watch both. Couldn't recommend them both more. And delightfully, 100% delightfully, this is just so great. Fargo is not a an actual serialized, the events lead into each other. It is an anthology, including the movie. Well, the movie is not an anthology movie. Fargo is a vibe. Fargo is not a plot. It is not a set of characters. It is more themes and a Midwest setting. They're not even in Fargo for most of them. The movie Fargo is not even in Fargo for most of it. But they are all independent of each other. You do not need to see any other Fargo. You can watch season 3 of Fargo and never have seen seasons 2 or 1 or the movie and be no worse off for it. Or you can do the better thing and just watch them all in whatever order you want, because it doesn't matter, and they are all excellent. I mean, just excellent. Because Fargo, I think, still is my favorite Coen Brothers movie. Runner-up gonna be No Country for Old Men, which I see mentioned somewhere in chat. I don't know if it has a top or a bottom. But as bottoms, speaking of, and I know nothing controversial in my picks here. When we're talking about Coen Brothers, I'm pretty basic bitch. Fargo, No Country, bottom, Intolerable Cruelty, and then I'll cheat a little and say Macbeth because fuck Shakespeare. I guess the movie's okay, but I don't need any more Shakespeare in my life at this point. So those are the two worst. Intolerable Cruelty feels like it's from. It feels like the Coen Brothers wanted to do studio comedy randomly. It feels like a Farrelly Brothers movie, but better because I don't think the Coen Brothers could be that bad. But it doesn't belong. All right, let's see what else we got here. BVDC says, concurs, by the way, Rhode Island Hiker. Love the movie and the actors. The TV show was fun. Good premise. You don't have to watch any of them in any order to enjoy them. Rhode Island Hiker says, Big Lebowski #1. Excellent choice. And of course, for this stream, maybe the controversial thing is I didn't choose Big Lebowski. I mean, it is, of course, top 5, but it's just such an amazing canon of movies. Hard to narrow it down. And for his last place, and a excellent choice, and a totally forgotten from the same exact period, maybe just like a year later than Intolerable Cruelty, The Ladykillers, a movie I owned on Universal Media Disc for the PSP. Believe it or not, watched it more than once on a PSP on a little tiny CD that was encased in a little plastic housing. But in a PSP, had movies on it called the UMD. Watched Ladykillers on it, but I did see it in theaters as well. I like the Ladykillers a little bit, actually. I kind of think it's funny. It's the Coen Brothers at their absolute, and call back to yesterday, misanthropic. It's a remake. I've never seen the original. It is dark. And earlier this summer, when that awful Elvis, that wasn't awful, it was just bad. When that Elvis movie came out, and everybody's like, oh God, Tom Hanks is playing a weirdo Southern bad guy. We've never seen him like this. I was like, you all motherfuckers forgot about the Ladykillers. This dude, Tom Hanks, has been playing Colonel Sanders alikes for a while. And the one in the Ladykillers is arguably creepier and more villainous. There's a reason it has the title it has. And what an ending. But I can totally understand why people hate it. I absolutely get it. Even though I haven't seen it since I watched it on PSP. But I'm curious to know what I would think if I watched it again today. Rhode Island Hiker, excellent choices for top and bottom. And he also comes in with the last second. No Country is awesome as well. Right there with you. My runner up as well. I think I feel like I saw No Country for Old Men one weekend in theaters, and then the next weekend I saw There Will Be Blood. That 2007 period, man, was it crazy. But No Country for Old Men is a way better movie than There Will Be Blood, which is a good movie. The second best, third best Paul Thomas Anderson movie. Yes, Thomas. But that's neither here nor there. We're not talking PTAs. We are talking very little and very poorly. That's going to be my cue. BBD says most movies are never like the books. Like everything, 50 Shades of Grey, Harry Potter, everything. LOL. Yes, so many movies betray the source material. Oh my god. Okay, one last micro rant, and then I'll go nice and high. There are the two most egregious, and I actually don't mind it so much. I don't mind it at all, really, if things are changed, especially if it helps make it a better movie. Like, it's usually totally fine with me, not bothered by it. But if something basically tries to follow the structure of the book, but then does a last second mega swerve in a way that betrays what the source material, at least in my estimation, I was going for, then it feels awful. And there are two examples that I can think of that are so, the movie just like ruined the entire experience by changing the tone and the course of the ending. One is the book Cujo. And just by saying that there's a change in the ending, you might guess what it is. Cujo, of course, is the very, very famous Stephen King book about a rabid dog who keeps a family locked in a car because if the family tries to leave, it'll eat them. And the family is the mother and son are slowly like thirsting to death in a car while a rabid St. Bernard stalks them from outside. Terrifying, crazy book. And spoilers, massive, huge, incredible spoilers for the book Cujo that Stephen King doesn't remember writing. He says he doesn't remember writing it at all. Huge, incredible spoilers for both movie and book Cujo. The end of Cujo, the book, the mother finally decides that she has to settle the score. They're going to die otherwise if she doesn't fight this fucking St. Bernard. So there's a big showdown. She eventually, after a brutal, bloody battle with a dog heavier than her, she comes out on top, and she goes to get her kid, who has now, since the battle started, perished from dehydration. In the movie, the kid survives, negating the entire utter bleakness of that the book was going for, the purposelessness, the senselessness of it all, the just devastation, and it just felt so cheapened in the movie. Awful. And then the other one, most egregious of all time, bar none, is one of the greatest crime thrillers ever written. Is a book called A Simple Plan by a man named Scott Smith, a man who's only written 2 novels in his life. and they are among the best in their respective genres. One being like crime fiction, and the other one thriller, like a thriller, and the other one being horror. The Ruins, the crime one, A Simple Plan. I'll have to save that for another stream because my voice is really going. One of the greatest, again, thrillers ever written. And then the guy who wrote the novel himself is hired to write the screenplay of the movie, directed by Sam Spider-Man Raimi. And he fucks up his own amazing ending so badly it hurts. He butchers his own ending so horrifically. It kills me to this day. Shame on you, Scott Smith, but please write another book. It's been a long time. Anyways, guys, it's been so wonderful. I'm so sorry I missed any chat. Gotta go. I should be back on Thursday after our review premieres. Sorry about my voice. Should be better by then. Later, everybody.